guests, and
let's give them both a round of applause, guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
So I think we're going to dive into Sober Junkie, right? So first of all, welcome to the show, man. I followed you on Instagram and Facebook and seen you out there, and I'm going to tell you from my words that I appreciate the effort that you are putting out there to just be a good person, right?
Thank you, man.
And it's like a lot of artists, a lot of entertainers or people that have responsibility don't always do that, but you've been going out of your way to do so, and so I think that's awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Right on, man. So tell us a little bit about Sober Junkie and how you. Well, first of all, I guess we could kind of get the name, but tell us why Sober Junkie and how you got here.
So on 420 5 years ago, I got clean, and when I got clean from using dope and shooting dope, a buddy of mine he's like, hey, you're the Sober Junkie. And I'm like, man, I'm not the Sober Junkie. He's like, nah, you're clean, bro, but you're always kind of going to be a junkie, bro. And so they're making fun of me, right? And I was like, when I hooked up with my mentor, my business partner, Gary Archer, I told him, yeah, I'm Christopher Michael. And he's like, that's cool. And I said, but everybody calls me Sober Junkie. And he's like, what'd you say? And I'm like, Sober Junkie. And he's like, wait a minute. That is the illest name ever. You from here, this point forward, you're the Sober Junkie.
Nice.
And in doing so, it's given me an incredible conversation starter. It says so much to where people that have that connection and are either going through something of that nature in their life or someone close, instantly it's like, hey, does that mean what I think it means? I'm like, yeah. And then we just start talking, and it's cool. It's who I am. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I love it.
And cannabis played a huge part in the exit from that.
So you said you were doing dope, but to others out there who might
not know what
dope is heroin.
They might refer to
meth.
dope as cannabis.
No.
So let's straighten
that out. So I didn't even, and here's the thing is, I was cool with cannabis. Cannabis didn't do enough for me. It was heroin and meth. You know what I mean? Or pills, anything that I could get a hold of, that's dope. So when I got clean, my wife told me, she's like, hey, try cannabis. It's 420. Try cannabis. It was kind of weird. You know what I mean? This is the day, try cannabis. So I started smoking, and through the withdrawal process, it helped so much. I still kicked. It was still horrible. I still, it was bad, man.
So let me ask you this. I mean, I kind of want to kind of relate with you for a minute, because obviously I've never taken myself to that level, and I don't know what it takes,
right.
What is it? I mean, it takes a certain kind of person to be able to drive yourself to slam heroin. And so how did you get there? Let's go back for a minute, what took you there?
So a lot of folks, and this is a thing that I think is happening to a lot of people out there, is you get hurt or something, you start taking pain medication. And I got a really bad back, and I was taking Oxycontin. And when that was no longer available, I started to dabble in anything and everything I could get to make me feel better. It wasn't even about getting high. It was about not kicking and not getting sick. And when someone tells you, hey, I got this H, which is a lot cheaper and it keeps you high longer, well, okay, that's cool. At first, we're not going to shoot it. But as you begin to get high and you continue to get high, after a while, you're not really getting as high. And people are like, hey, this is how you need to rock. And I tried it that way, and it took me to a horrible place. And if it wasn't for cannabis, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Yeah, I made that decision and that choice, but cannabis was my choice versus methadone, because I did the methadone thing. And all that is switching your drug dealer.
Right. To the government.
That's right.
Straight up.
Yep,
and cannabis wasn't that. And today, if I don't smoke, I'm not going to get sick. I'm not going to steal from my kids. And I'm not going to be, out there doing things I shouldn't do.
It doesn't do that to you.
I might be like, dang it, darn dang. That's about it. That's about it, But it's incredible. So what I'm trying to do now is, my brother Craig was telling me a story earlier. See, what I want to do is I want to find a strain and come up with something that, for these junkies to be able to withdraw with, something that really,
I'll be talking to my kid about what strain that was.
Man, we need to figure that out, because that's what we need. You know what I mean? Honestly, and then take it. It's not for everybody, but for me, that's what did it.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. So when did you make the transition from junkie to Sober Junkie the artist, singer?
Okay, so when I got clean, I went to NA. I went to Narcotics Anonymous. and I got a sponsor, and I told him that I love music, and he was like, let me hear what you do. And his name was Jared, and I sang, and he was like, wait a minute, how do you got soul like that? And I'm like, I don't know.
And you do.
He's like, you got soul. And he's like, wait, we got to do something. So he ended up taking me to a studio in Santa Cruz, and I made my first song, Disease, which is about, it's about heroin. And I did that, and I was hooked. And from that point forward, I've been attacking it. You know what I mean? I give it everything I got. I wake up every morning, I'm grateful. I don't got a needle in my arm. So to me, I'm successful from this point forward. You know what I'm saying? My worst day today is better than my best day when I was using, straight up.
Absolutely.
Man.
100%.
You know? Look what I'm doing right now. This is bananas, right? Like I was strung out in the camp, man. Like it's crazy. I was that guy, you know?
Well, I know you've got a lot. We need like 5 segments to do his story.
Are you gonna sing for us?
I would love to sing for y'all. Y'all want to sing a little something a cappella?
I want to hear something.
Absolutely.
Do you guys in the crowd want to hear him sing real quick?
Yes.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of joining him in the recording studio while we were in Vegas. He invited me, and I got to hear him lay down some.
You showed up to that?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, you were
Dude, you're a
sleeping. You were with
star.
Big Brother sleeping.
Well, hey,
you guys go to bed. No, you left. You left. I stayed
old.
through the weekend. So you
Oh,
left.
that's right.
But here, let's.
So I'm gonna sing the hook to a song. There's a video out right now, and it's a special song, and it's for people, and it's a simple something that we can all say, and it's real, and it's if we teach people about people, and people can love, yeah. We teach people about people, and people can love. If we teach people about people, and people can love, yeah. We teach people about people, and people can love. You know what I'm saying? That's all I do. Thank
Sober Junkie.
Yes. Laying it down.
You know, and that's the hook to the song, because I just feel like a lot of us don't. We're afraid of things that we don't understand, and so if we're able to understand one another and teach each other about each other, then we can learn to love one another. You know, I'm pushing this music message like on another level. I want to bring something special and get to a platform where I can make a difference in this world. You know.
Very nice.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. You know, and like I said in the beginning, and I meant it, man, I follow you, and I see you out there, and you're pushing the right word. You know, there's a difference between being an entertainer, and I know this because I've been in entertainment all my life. I feel like I was, pushed into entertainment at a young age, and I'm still here. And so there is a difference between pushing it and putting out the right message and the wrong message. And I feel like I've done both, so I understand it very well.
Right.
And similar to you, you've been through addictions and you've been able to overcome them. And I think that's awesome. And so
Thank you, man.
keep up the good work, man.
I wanted to ask, excuse me, Melissa a question. I mean, in hearing this, as someone who is part of a city government, in hearing this kind of story, the economic drain that people who have the disease and who aren't sober anymore, who are slamming drugs, heroin, meth, in the streets, in the hospitals. I mean, isn't this something you can take back to people whenever the appropriate time is to say, look what this can do for our city, if economically and so forth?
Well,
If you have to talk about the language of economics, yes. But I mean, this talks to the language of the heart and people. And that's what government is about. It's about helping people. And that song comes from a place of light and not a place of darkness. And that's where we need to bring people.
Thank you.
Wow.
I got
that touched
involved.
my heart right there.
I got involved in cannabis because it was a panel on the business of cannabis. And what I heard about the business of cannabis was all about the people. And it was moms who had learned about cannabis to cure their children.
Yeah.
And it was farmers who had years in their family of running away from the authorities when all they wanted to do was be regular business people and come out into the light. And so that is what really attracted me to medical cannabis and to regulation was about people and not about money. And that, because that's what we do in government, is we take care of people.
Very, very well said. And speaking of Sober Junkies, his story, he said, and I caught this, is that I said, how did you get there? Like, how did you really get there? And he says to me, or all of us, he says, through an injury. And so we've talked to Marcus Washington, I believe.
Marvin Washington.
Marvin, sorry.
Marvin Washington.
Sorry, Marvin, that's my buddy. Marvin Washington, ex-NFL player, Kyle Turley, professional baseball player. And now it's legal here in California.
Partially.
And how does this affect Irvine? And I asked you, Melissa, because you've got to have some kind of a direction that you're starting to see.
That's a great question. Thanks. I've given this a lot of thought. Irvine is an awesome city, and it's always had a vision for the future. It's a planned city. Well, one of our largest industries is the biomedical industry, and we also have center around a university. So the way that I think Irvine can really be a sweet spot is to further the research for medical cannabis.
Smart.
And of course, I think any manufacturing that goes into research and experiment, those two go together, because it's hard to raise money just for research. So that's how I've kind of envisioned it. I don't know where the rest of my city council stands, but I will strongly advocate for that, the good that it does. And, the flip side of that, the economic side, and a failure to regulate leads to a lot of bad things. It leads to adulterated product. It leads to, crime and a vulnerability of a cash-only business, too.
Absolutely. You've got what's going to happen, I believe. Do you guys have dispensaries in the city now?
We do not.
None.
We have a ban on cannabis. And I think that came out of the fear of the local cities needing to occupy that space so that the state couldn't come in and tell us exactly how we had to run things. But Santa Ana is our neighbor. Sure. And so we have a handful of dispensaries in Santa Ana. But I believe from what I've anecdotally heard is that the cannabis comes into our city through deliveries, and that people who are looking to get medical cannabis go to dispensaries in Santa Ana.
That's probably very true. I don't know that, but I'm sure that it's...
Well, it's got to be. They have licensed legal clinics you can walk into with your card and have no problem. And those clinics have no problem. They're safe. They're...
Well, the legal dispensaries in Santa Ana don't have a delivery service. They're not legally allowed to deliver, correct?
That is correct.
So,
but there's illegal deliveries going on.
From Santa Ana, dropping into Irvine.
Or Lake Forest, or other places.
Forest. Lake Forest was actually one of the first cities that actually brought in...
I thought they banned it.
Well, they're a really good example of how not to do it.
Yeah.
How to allow anyone to open their doors, how to allow dispensaries right next to a church, how to not in any way regulate and kind of offend the population. It was a bad case study.
It got brutal over there. And I think the guys that actually started that, because I know some of the people I think that were involved, they got hit pretty hard. And I'm not saying that they were doing anything wrong or right. I just heard the story about, some of these dispensaries were opening up and they were just going wildfire. I mean,
it didn't end well for anyone.
It didn't end
attracted
well for
a lot of crime.
I heard the city got a little messed up. They were next to, I think it was elderly homes or something like that as well. And
there were several, and one was next to a church. Yeah. And one was in a strip mall, and I didn't know about one, but there are multiple senior communities. Yeah. And actually, location next to a senior community would be a great place.
Seniors need it more
really
than
good for arthritis.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. That makes a big point there, Melissa. You say that good for arthritis, so you truly believe in the medical benefits?
Absolutely. I've seen it firsthand, and particularly when you're dealing with medication to someone whose health is compromised and they can't handle the OxyContin or the narcotics that stress the other organs. And so it's something that's much more soft on the body.
Sure.
But I haven't taken it personally, but I have a family member who has.
Are you sure? No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
I'm playing.
You just didn't
maybe in your high school years.
I would not say never.
Okay, just secondhand.
We'll leave
smoke,
it at that.
you know?
Yeah.
We never would. Now, let me ask you: as it gets further into the